Hi guys, it's currently the start of February and I'm not gonna lie, the temptation to rush into spring has started to creep in. I'm daydreaming about wildflowers, frolicking through fields and cottagecore dresses, which is not helped by my Pinterest being full of all of the above. However, I live in England and it is currently still cold and dark. The light is ever so slowly creeping back in, but it's still dark until 7:30 AM and the sun sets at about 4:30 PM. Now, let me say that while I have been daydreaming about the lighter, brighter and frankly warmer days of spring, autumn and winter are my two favourite months of the year. That definitely has to do with having incredibly fair skin, a general aversion to being too hot, an introvert's head and a poet's heart, but also because I have mastered the art of wintering. When you do so, this season is no longer something to simply be endured, to slog through before better days ahead. Winter becomes something to be experienced, cherished and, dare I say it, enjoyed. Winter is quite literally a season of cold. The world outside feels lifeless and grey, and all you want to do is hunker down inside and take shelter from the storm. So why not let yourself? Think of yourself like a bear, hibernating warm and safe in your den, or a bulb nestled beneath the soil waiting to sprout in the spring. Nature has its seasons, and so do we. It's okay and actually really beneficial to take this time to rest and recharge, go inwards and reflect. So, how do you actually do that? Let's take a look. One of the key things for thriving over surviving this season is to tune in to your circadian rhythm. This means no horrendous New Year's resolutions to wake up at 5 AM when it's pitch black in the dead of winter. Wake up when the sun rises. Now I know most of us have these silly things called jobs that can kind of get in the way of that, but if you can, I highly encourage you to try it. It feels bloody good. The next thing to do is to make sure you're staying warm and cozy. January can feel cold and harsh and barren after the merriment of December. You've taken down the decorations and now your house feels kind of empty. My advice to you? Leave some fairy lights up. Light candles. Keep spending evenings by the fire with your family, playing games and laughing. Look for all the small ways you can invite warmth and light back into your life. One of the joys of December is how we can romanticize even the smallest of everyday moments. But that doesn't have to stop in January. Make your favourite tea in your favourite mug and watch the steam twist and turn as it rises. Let it warm you from within as the frost glitters on your window panes. Oh, and my biggest tip? Leave the big lights off. The soft, flickering light from candles is almost enough in itself to keep the winter blues away. Use lamps and fairy lights with warm yellowy bulbs and coming home will feel like the softest of embraces. Now, is there anything more perfect to do on a blustery winter's afternoon than curl up by the fire with a good book? I've been really enjoying reading seasonally over the last year, so I'll try to only read books that are set in winter during winter. I find that not only does it help me to connect to the book more, but it also helps me to appreciate the season that I'm in more. If I were to read a book set on a tropical beach vacation right now in winter, then my mind would be full of suntans, blue oceans under bluer skies, warm sand under my feet. And I would start longing for that in my life right now. I'd start wishing for summer and miss all of the beauty around me of the season that I'm actually in. So over winter, I would much rather read books that show me the magic of a landscape sparkling with frost, pink noses and warming cold hands on hot mugs, laughing as your breath comes out as steam, the intimacy of sheltering from a storm together, listening to the rain drumming on the window. So here are a few of my favourite winter reads. First up, Upon a Frosted Star. This book is The Great Gatsby meets Swan Princess. It spans over years, but it's heavily set in winter with an absolutely captivating fairy tale-like feel to it. It's set in England in the 1920s, and the descriptions of the parties and the landscapes are just divine. Next up is The Bear and the Nightingale. This is my current read. I'm only about a third of the way through, but it's set in Russia and so far has taken place over several winters. It's full of snow-covered woods, old magic, nights spent with family gathered around the hearth telling tales of long-forgotten spirits. Next up is Little Women. I know this one doesn't solely take place in winter, but it does start and finish at Christmas time, and I just think it's so wholesome and heartwarming. It's the perfect thing to uplift your spirits on these cold winter days. I've actually just read this for the first time, and I posted a read with me video where I did all of my thoughts and feelings along the way, so I will leave a link to that if you want to check it out. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. The first Harry Potter book in particular seems so heavily winter coded. The snow and Christmas at school is just so magical. I think because it's Harry's first Christmas where he actually feels at home and has a really good time, it's much more emphasised in this book than the others. And a quick fire, Murder on the Orient Express, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and Heidi are also all really good winter reads. Now we know over winter that we'll be spending a lot more time indoors, so it's a great time to indulge in some cosy hobbies. If you find creative outlets to fill your evenings, things that inspire you, things that nourish your soul, things that you're excited to do, you'll be amazed at how quickly those dark winter days stop feeling drab and dreary. There are so many things you could do, but if you're unsure where to start, I would recommend going to Pinterest and searching cozy hobbies and have a look for things that spark joy. If you're trying something new and aren't too sure, head to YouTube. I can almost guarantee there'll be a tutorial for the exact thing you're looking for. Some of my favourite cozy hobbies are reading, obviously, but also baking, colouring, playing games, doing puzzles, journaling, scrapbooking and creative writing. Some things I want to try are knitting, cross-stitching, making things with air-dry clay and painting. Another thing I'm going to start doing in this final stretch of winter is buying fresh flowers. That will add a tiny bit extra onto my weekly food shop, but honestly, you can get some really nice bunches for only a few pounds, and the life and colour that it brings into your home is well worth it. It's like a little promise. Spring is coming. So we've talked about all of the things you can do inside to enjoy this season of winter, but my next piece of advice is just as crucial. Go outside. I know that when you haven't seen the sun in days, the sky is under a constant cover of grey clouds, maybe it hasn't stopped raining or snowing for days. Motivation can drop to an all-time low, and you just might not feel like going outside. I've been there, and especially while working from home, for me a whole week could slip past before I had something that I had to go outside for. And so I just wouldn't. But guess what? It didn't make me feel good. Now, you might be saying, well, sure, but going outside in the pouring rain or blistering wind won't make me feel good either. And it might not. At the time. But even in winter, getting whatever faint trickles of sunlight there are onto your face and into your eyes, fresh air in your lungs, will make you feel better. I think the key thing is to make the experience of coming in from the cold as joyful as possible. Leave a blanket warming next to the radiator so you can wrap it around your shoulders after you step inside. Have everything set up ready to make your favourite hot drink. You could even run yourself a candlelit bath. And remember to be playful. Stick your little icicle fingers in your partner's armpits, up the back of their jumper, and squeal and giggle in delight and horror as they inevitably try to do the same thing back to you. To encourage me to go outside, I like to create a winter bucket list. I do this for every season, but in this season I split it into two parts and do a Christmas bucket list for December and a winter bucket list for January and February. This not only helps me to get out of the house, but it also helps me to find more joy in this season and to romanticize it. When I first started making these seasonal bucket lists, I was a bit outlandish and I put a lot of things on them that I just didn't have time for or just couldn't afford to do. So today I've gotten much better at curating these lists into a handful of activities that I can realistically do over weekends and fill in the rest with opportunities for moments of everyday magic. I like to draw out the list onto a grid like this. I know that some people cross out the activity when they've done it, but honestly that would just make me a little bit sad. So I instead colour in the square when I've completed the activity, and that way at the end I'm left with a really pretty picture. And then I have this pinned up on my office wall so I can look at it every day and find inspiration on how I can make my day a little bit more joyful. Another thing I like to do in winter is planning. Okay, well, who am I kidding? I love to plan everything at any point in the year, but winter especially is a great time for reflection and, if needed, redirection. So whilst I do think that spring is the time that we should be ramping up our energy to work on our goals, and in winter we should be resting and recharging, I do appreciate the clean slate of a new calendar year, and I think it's a good time to reflect on the year we've just had and plan for the year ahead. So over these dark winter nights, I have been journaling, mind mapping, and just basically having a good old think and coming up with my 2025 goals. But you know what the best part is? Making a vision board. I love making mood boards. I do them all year round. I do them for each season, I do them for outfits, I do them for home decor, for everything, basically. But I love having one overarching vision board for the whole year. My vision boards in previous years actually looked a lot different, and I used to be a lot more literal about translating my goals into pictures. However, over the last year, I really feel like I've discovered my personal style in clothing, in home design, in my passions and interests, in literature, in everything. Basically, I have never felt more like myself. So my vision board for this year does contain some of my 2025 goals, but it's also just much more about vibes, about the feeling that I want to capture this year. Every image on it truly inspires me. I want to live inside every one. I want my life to feel like them. I want to capture them in my creative pursuits. And I think overall that's going to help me to stay really focused this year and to create something magical. So I made two sizes, one for my laptop and one for my phone, so I can look at them every day, and here they are! Aren't they beautiful? I wonder how many of my goals you can guess from my vision board. Another thing that I'm doing this year that is kind of drastic, well, it felt drastic to me at the time, is going analog. So I bought a Filofax. It feels kind of scary because I have been relying on digital planning and calendars for the past few years. I had this little voice in my head like, will you even remember to do X, Y, and Z if you don't have this little device beeping telling you to do it? But you know what? I think our parents and our grandparents were right. I think it is the damn phones, and I'm getting a little bit sick of having this thing in my hand that I feel like I can't put down. I carry it from room to room with me, I take it to the toilet with me without even making the conscious decision to do so. It's in my hand and I'm using it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not saying I'm getting rid of my smartphone. I think there are apps and features on it that are really beneficial, but I want to start treating it more like my tablet or my laptop, where I pick it up when I actually need to use it and use it intentionally, and then put it down and go and enjoy my life in peace. So I'm taking steps to reduce the amount of things that I need my phone for, and planning is definitely one of them. I used to love physical planning, and when I was a child, I saw grown-ups in my life with these Filofaxes, and they honestly just looked like the coolest thing ever, and I couldn't wait to be all grown up so I could plan my life in a Filofax. And you know what? I think there's a lot of joy in giving yourself the little things that your childhood self dreamed of having when she grew up, even if they're not on trend or if technology has surpassed them. You'll be making that little girl smile. One thing I like about the Filofax in particular that made it feel a little bit less daunting is that because it's a ring planner, nothing is permanent. I've been using this planner for about a month now, and I originally started out doing weekly spreads over 2 pages, and then I found out that wasn't quite enough room for me. So no problem, I just took those pages out and put in daily pages instead. and I have been so inspired by all of the creators out there with just such beautiful ring planners. So I can't wait to start getting some stickers and magazine cutouts and decorating this and junk journaling in here too. So definitely let me know if you want to see a full planner tour as I get this properly set up. So I hope I've inspired you in some small way to learn to love winter a little bit more. It honestly makes your year and your life so much better if you aren't hating 3 months out of the year. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please do give it a like and subscribe and do all the good stuff, and I will see you soon in another video.